Hello everyone! While we all wait for maintenance to end on global, we actually also have a new update on JP today, which is pretty cool. Simultaneous updates once again. That's awesome for my video schedule. Anyways, the banner this time is a Dragon Bride banner with Izana and Heidi, so pretty neat outfits. We got Bride Izana, so that's pretty cool. And Heidi also looks pretty nice. Izana is yet another slash breaker, and Heidi is a fire supporter, so we're finally starting to get fire units once again. Before I go over the units, I'm just going to go look in the shop real quick. There are a couple bundles here in the shop that they added. I think these are kind of silly, but they're mostly whale focused. This first one gives 50 cookies and 1,000 piece material, the Brilliant Wishing Stones, for 3,000 pay gems. So just for cookies, this is like triple the price of chapter packs, but if you're out of chapter packs because you buy stamina a lot, obviously you're going to get this. And the piece currency being in here is kind of interesting, but if you're this tier of player that buys these, you probably have enough of these anyways. Although I think about, like, was it about 5,000 you need to 5-star a single character? Something like that, maybe like 4,000. So it gets you a decent amount of the way there. It's not bad. Obviously it's paid gems, like never buy this if you're on a limited budget. And then we also have one for free gems, 500 free gems with 10 cookies and then some useless stuff here, a bit of coal. Once again, the value of this is literally the same as just refreshing stamina with gems. If you were to do that and only spend 40 gems for stamina, like the 3 each day, except now you're buying cookies that have an expiration date of September. So this is really, like, if you're going to gem the stam anyways, it is slightly better value, of course, but in my eyes, it's really only for people who run out of stamina trying to make gear for tournament and whatever, so useful in that regard. Now, how about the characters? What everyone has been waiting for. This banner is pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for it. I'm going to use my tickets, hopefully get one of the characters. I personally really want Heidi, so I think Heidi is the potentially better one of the two, but it's actually hard to tell. So yeah, first up we have the memoria. Some, you know, Izana and Resna fan service. Although I don't really like their faces that much on this art, but, you know, they're getting married. Happy for them. Very good. The memoria is when making a critical attack, break damage plus 65%, has 6% speed. It is made for Izana. It seems like kind of a weird effect. It's made for Izana. She's a slash breaker that wants to crit a lot, so it's not very good, obviously. It's a lot of break damage, but yeah, it's just kind of weird. Nice art though. I mean, I don't love it, but mostly because of the faces, but I like the concept of it at least. But yeah, onto the units. We'll go over Izana first. Izana's kind of interesting to me. I don't really know how to feel about her yet, honestly. I can see her being quite good if she does enough stun damage, but it's hard to tell. She is, of course, a slash breaker, which means she does synergize somewhat with Ryza. She can get extra stun damage from Ryza or characters like Eska, which is not bad. The main part of her is, of course, her skill 2. It's area break, so she is an area breaker, and she has this absurd 200% break damage buff when it's a critical attack. So when she hits with a crit, that attack does has 200% increased break damage. That is crazy. Triple break damage on an area, like on an area breaker ability is wild, like, right? It's so much break damage. So yeah, I don't know how to feel about her though. I don't know if it's enough break damage to sort of like bring back area breakers as a consideration, as like really strong for breaking, because enemy stun gauges have been inflating a lot. So now they're kind of introducing this character to kind of keep up with the stun gauge inflation. And you'll just have to play with her, honestly, to see if it's good enough or not. It's going to require a lot of playtesting, whatever, to see how she fits in the meta. You can't really tell from this alone whether or not this is enough stun damage. What I can tell you is two things. One, critting on area abilities is awkward. You usually want to save your guaranteed crits for your attackers. So like you want to use Ramona on your attacker, especially if, you know, enemies are already broken. Like Logi stunning gives crits to your attacker. If you use the jelly for crit panels, you can probably get them on Izana and then also your attacker, so that's probably one of the better options. Obviously, if you're using like Bolt Resna still or Flock, that kind of helps, but it still takes a while to ramp up. And yeah, just I'm not completely sure if it just has to crit once or if it gets the bonus. I'm pretty sure it gets the bonus per enemy it crits. So for enemies it doesn't crit, it's not going to get the bonus. I am pretty sure, but not 100% positive. So yeah, it's awkward to use. She can make her own, she can give herself guaranteed crits though, with her skill 1. So if you use her skill 1 and then, you know, you break on, if you're okay with breaking on the second turn, if you're not dead yet, then that's totally fine. She can give herself that guaranteed crit, which does help for sure, but it's just a little awkward. We'll see if it works out in practice. The other part of her skill 2 is a debuff. So this is pretty common among breakers nowadays to give debuffs along with stunning, and hers is pretty bad. She gives the enemy a received critical damage debuff, so 30% increased critical damage received for 2 attacks, and this is abysmal. There's 2 reasons. It might sound very good, but I promise that it's not. The first reason, this doesn't scale with traits. So not scaling with traits is already pretty bad compared to a lot of breakers we have nowadays where you can scale, you know, physical or magical damage up debuffs with the traits. But on top of that, received critical damage up is actually not its own multiplier. It is additive with your character's crit damage bonuses. So if your character has like, you know, 250% increased crit damage from like traits and passives and supporters and stuff, which is pretty common, this is adding on to that. So it's not multiplying your damage. It's not a separate multiplier to your damage at all. So it ends up being fairly mediocre as a debuff. You can't itemize for it, compared to, you know, other characters that give these same debuffs like Academy Ryza, 30% increased magic damage up. You scale it with the trait up to like 70-80%, you know, like, and it's a separate multiplier on top. It is one of the rare multipliers in the game, receive damage up. So this debuff is quite bad. And then we also have her burst, which it's just a normal single target breaker burst. It can stun enemies. Stun is a little bit of a gimmick, of course, because most enemies are highly resistant or immune to it. And then it also will create a crit panel. So that's not bad. Interesting. So yeah, she seems okay. I don't know if she's super good. I guess we can also go over her passives. This one is whenever she gets a panel, she also gets 100% crit rate, so that does help her out with her skill 2, of course. Like, she does have support for her skill 2 critting, but it's still kind of awkward. And then her other passive is actually like a supporter passive, so it's all allies get 20% critical damage. It might mean you want to gear her up with damage buff A, like, and make her a crit supporter that also has good stun damage. Like, her kit's interesting. It remains to be seen whether or not this is quite enough stun damage, however. If it is, she's really good. If it's not, then she's just kind of mediocre because she doesn't do as good of a job as like a debuffer as some of the other modern breakers do. So, but she is very cute, and it is a new Izana, so very cool. She's also quite slow. 247 speed is pretty bad for a breaker nowadays, but you can make it work. But she is slow, so that's not necessarily a good thing. All right, and now on to Heidi. Heidi is the one that I'm personally excited for. She's pretty cute, but also she is basically a magic attack Ampul. And so Ampul is already quite good. She is basically a better version of Ampul for magic characters, and magic is much more meta than Fizz in general. So I'm pretty excited for her. I definitely want to get her and play with her, so we'll see. First off, her passive, 15% magic attack for all allies. Very, very strong passive. a lot of magic attack there. And her other passive, whenever she gets a reinforcement panel, a blue panel, 10% item gauge, which is pretty good. It makes blue panels actually useful on your supporter. That's pretty cool. And as far as her skills go, once again, she is a magic attack version of Womple, so she will give one ally 30% magic attack for 2 turns. So you can, of course, stack this up. Very, very nice. Very, very strong buff, especially with, say, the Halloween Memoria for buff effect. You can get this all the way up to like 50%, maybe even a bit higher. So she's going to be giving like over 100% magic attack with that Memoria, but even like around 100%, you know, without that Memoria, with that and her passive and some of the gear. So very, very solid. And then she also does some cool panel manipulation things, which might be useful with, say, Academy Resna, especially if you don't have like Sophie or Ryza. For example, her skill 1 will create a reinforcement panel under the ally with the highest magic attack on your team. So that's pretty cool. She can create blue panels for Academy Resna, which is really nice. It solves one of her major issues where she's not able to use her skill 2 on the first round if you don't have like Sophie or items to support her. So that's pretty cool. And then her burst as well, it will give the ally with the highest magical attack a 50% skill damage buff, which is pretty dang high. With damage buffet, this goes up all the way to like 125%. It's actually really quite good. The skill damage buff. It's probably a better buff than her skill 2 because the values on it are so high. So that's very nice. And then, of course, it will also create a blue plus panel as well. So under them. So that's also pretty cool. The blue plus panel, the reinforcement plus panel, is 90% skill damage as opposed to 40, so it's really strong. But yeah, basically, I'm pretty excited for Heidi. She sounds like a really, really good magic attacker supporter for damage. Very excited to use her if I get her, so hopefully the pulls go well. And last, let's go ahead and look at the gear. So we have recipes over here. I was kind of underwhelmed by most of the gear. So for Izana, we have a weapon for slash characters, and when they crit, plus 19% break damage. So it is a very solid like amount of break damage on this weapon, so it's decent, but it's not significantly better than other options you probably already have crafted. I don't know if it's worth recrafting, but it is extra break damage. It is technically good. So yeah, it's solid. It's just, is it worth recrafting? I don't know. If you really like her, if she's really good, then probably it's worth it. And then we have the armor, which is for slash breakers, increases the amount of debuff effect they give by 15%. This is pretty bad on Izana because her debuff isn't very good. And I don't think it's particularly good on Master Ryza either. I wouldn't really ever use this. I would rather go for more stun damage or something else for like buffs or debuffs. So kind of whatever. And then the accessory, I think the accessory is decent. For slash characters, when attacking with a crit, give the enemy received critical damage plus 14% for 2 turns. So this is pretty solid. 14% received crit damage on an accessory that doesn't need to be on your attackers, and it's like just slash characters. It does require attacking with a crit, but it's still pretty decent. It's a lot of damage to come from an accessory that doesn't need to go on your attacker, so this accessory is quite good. Very solid item. And then for Heidi's gear, we have, of course, for fire characters, plus 12% buff effect. This is obviously very good for her. It synergizes quite well with her magic attack, passive, and skill 2. You definitely want to either use this one or the angel staff. I don't know which ends up being better, but this one's quite solid. And of course, it's also for fire characters in general. It's not just limited to supporters, which is really nice. We don't have very many options for buff effect that aren't supporter locked, so having another one that isn't locked to supporters is pretty cool. It's probably not like, there's not really many characters you could use this on, but it's still nice to have it as an option for the future in case any come out. And then for the armor, we have fire supporters. All allies get 9% reinforcement panel effect. I don't personally think panel effect is super strong, especially at these low values. Plus 9% is something like 3% skill damage from a reinforcement panel, or like 8% from a reinforcement plus panel. It's really not that much, and you'll get better mileage out of like an Onsen dress or something with buff effect or something to that effect. So this to me is kind of whatever. I wouldn't really recommend this. And then we have the accessory, and the accessory is quite good. For fire supporters, all allies get plus 6% magic attack, and this of course will scale with the buff effect you get on her other pieces, and it's just a really solid accessory. There's not many super strong accessory options for supporters, so having one specifically for her is definitely very nice and helpful, so this is going to be her best accessory in general. And yeah, that's the gear. Kind of underwhelming gear, honestly, not a ton of like super high value stuff, but there are some usable things in there, especially for the Heidi gear, so pretty cool. Now let's get to the polls, because I am excited for this. I hope I draw Heidi. I've been having pretty bad luck on my 3 stars recently, but we'll see. Let's just get the dailies out of the way first. I have one last poll on this Linka and Yuna banner, which, as expected, looks to be nothing. Sad. That's fine. I'm not really missing either of those characters. And let's just move on to the main event. So get our first daily for Izana and Heidi. Oh, we got the winks. That's a good sign, honestly. But do they betray me? Looks like they're betraying me. I'm not seeing much here. Nothing indicative of a character yet, at least, so probably just an SR, a 2-star, something like that. Yep, and it's Monica, as expected. Alright, let's try our tickets. As you can see, I'm completely out of gems, so all we have here is tickets. Hopefully they go well. We did get the winks. Alright, these ones surely won't betray me, right? Oh my gosh. Once again, not really seeing anything, huh? Well, we still have a bit to go. But it probably won't fake out, so. Yeah, unfortunately, probably nothing in here. I wasn't expecting a 3-star, but it's just Ixel, so not a new character. I accidentally clicked straight past it. And what the heck? Another one? They're both dupes, however. In fact, Val, I already have it 5-star, so that's fun. Very interesting. Not at all what we wanted. But it's been a while since I've got multiple 3-stars in one pull, so I guess that's cool. Alright, 3 double winks in a row. Surely this is the one, yeah? And... oh! We got some sparkles. Alright. Could mean something. But they're not golden sparkles, so it's not guaranteed right up here. So, probably no banner units. But I'm kind of excited. Let's see. Oh my god! No way! Wait, actually? Oh, that's so crazy! Oh my god! No way! This is like my #1 most wanted unit that I did not have yet. Holy crap. I have been like this close to sparking her. That's so good. Dang, that's super hype. Okay, awesome. Love Flock. Let's go. Oh my god. Alright, anyways, very good pulls. That's it for this video. I'll see y'all in the next one. Holy crap, that's so good. Alright, see y'all next time. Bye-bye.